That was not a foul on Kelly Olynyk. It just wasn't a foul. We'll talk about this game on today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Pistons podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by McDonald's, proudly serving communities since 1965. McDonald's has always been more than just a place to get tasty, affordable food. It's an unofficial community center. A big thank you to our friends at McDonald's for always being there. I'm loving it. Per usual, I'm your host, Kuka Hill. You can find me over on Twitter at Kuka Hill, where I am finally verified. Yes, I am finally got the little blue check mark next to my name. Let's get it. You feel me? But you can also find us over on YouTube at Locked On Pistons. Make sure you guys are going to check out the channel over there, supporting it, giving us a thumbs up on the videos and a subscribe button. Make sure you do all that if you haven't already. And if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, make sure you leave a 5-star review down below. And also, thank you for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. But let's go ahead and talk about this game against the Philadelphia 76ers, which the Pistons lost 110-102. At one point in the fourth quarter, the Pistons had cut this lead down to a 5-point game. And something despicable happened. Something that just shouldn't have happened. Kelly Olynyk was whistled for an offensive foul. Killian Hayes got the defensive rebound. He was taken off with it. Joel Embiid picked him up. He saw the mismatch coming towards him with Joel Embiid around half court. Once he saw the mismatch with the big guy on him, he hit the gas pedal, took off towards the rim, beat Joel Embiid around the perimeter, was able to take a wide open layup, made it, and then a whistle was called on a foul was called, I should say, on Kelly Olynyk for an offensive foul. I guess they tried saying that he was holding a defender that allowed Killian Hayes to get a layup, which just didn't happen. And if the Pistons had a challenge, they 100% would have won that one. That probably would have been one of the easiest challenges of the year. They did not have a challenge. Dwayne Casey had just used it earlier in the fourth quarter, and that pretty much ended the game for the Pistons. Joel Embiid came back down the floor and hit a dagger step-back three from the top of the key, and that pretty much ended the game. And the fourth quarter was a fun quarter to watch. Towards the beginning of the fourth quarter, when the bench was in, the lead had ballooned up to 22 points. I didn't think the Pistons were going to sub back in their starters, let alone Killian Hayes, who got his first fourth quarter minutes of the year last night against the 76ers. But they did bring him back in, and the starters are keyed in by Killian Hayes and Saddiq Bey. They led this comeback, really. Killian was making multiple plays. He hit 5. He had back-to-back possessions where he scored. One was a layup and one was a three. And then the next possession, he assisted on a Saddiq Bey corner three. Then Killian Hayes on the next possession defensively was able to strip Tobias Harris on a great rotation by him. It looked like it was going to be easy bunny by Tobias Harris, but Killian Hayes was able to strip him, get an easy bucket down. Actually, not even an easy bucket, because that ended up turning into a foul for Jerami Grant to get free throws. But Jerami Grant ended up missing both those free throws, which also really hurt the Pistons. We'll talk about Jerami Grant a little bit later on in the episode. But yeah, Killian Hayes was great in the fourth quarter. Saddiq Bey had 13 points, I believe, in the fourth quarter. He was fantastic. He hit multiple outside shots. Hopefully that gets him going. He was struggling throughout the night from beyond the arc, still continuing a theme that we had seen throughout the regular season thus far. But in that fourth quarter, he was able to get some of his long-range shots going, which is really good to see. And overall, he just played really well in that fourth quarter. So Killian Hayes and Saddiq Bey really led this fourth quarter comeback for the Pistons. It was really good to see. But yeah, throughout the majority of the game, though, the Pistons offense continues to just be something that is just a tough watch. I tweeted out during the game that it's basically like watching paint dry, watching the Pistons play offense. And they did finally break the 100 marker. Like, we're in 2021. That shouldn't be such a big deal to do. But the Pistons finally did it. And I didn't know if they were going to do it this game. I didn't know when they were going to do it. They were probably going to have to wait till Cade came back, I thought, to break 100 points. But they did tonight with 102. However, shooting 33% from beyond the arc, this isn't going to cut it. And trust me, it's only at 33% because Saddiq Bey and Killian Hayes hit a few down the stretch. If that little fourth quarter surge doesn't happen late in the fourth quarter, we're looking at like 21% from the field, from beyond the arc again. And that's just, it's tough. The Pistons can't continue to try to win games like this, no matter how good their defense is, which, by the way, I thought was pretty good again tonight. The Pistons The 76ers ended up scoring 110 points, but I thought the Pistons actually played good defense throughout the whole night tonight again. So again, it's just they can't continue to shoot this badly and think they're going to be in games and get a win. Eventually, they're going to have to hit shots. So it's a struggle right now for them. Obviously, they did only turn the ball over 12 times. They forced 20 turnovers by the 76ers, which once again, their defense was fine. Joel Embiid got a lot of free throws, and he ended up shooting 15 of those. A lot of those came late. The refs, it was kind of funny. The refs, he shot 15. This is actually going to prove my point. The refs kind of swallowed their whistle throughout the entire night. They didn't want to call fouls on literally just about anything. They were letting dudes just get clotheslined out there. Okay. And then all of a sudden, Joel Embiid ends up with 15 free throws. The 76ers as a team shot 24 free throws. So Embiid took up almost more than 60-something% of their free throws. And only 9 other free throws were taken from non-Joel Embiid. So a lot of those came late, and he just started getting this whistle late that was really frustrating to watch as a Pistons fan, and definitely for Pistons teammates out there and players. They definitely were they were getting frustrated with it. But overall, again, like I said, they're not going to continue to be in games shooting 33% from the three-point line, and then also shooting 19 of 27 from the free throw line. You can't shoot poorly from the field overall. You can't shoot poorly from three-point range and then also shoot poorly from free throw and expect to win a game. It's just not going to happen. They have to get that sorted out. It's a serious problem right now, I believe, for the Pistons, and they have to figure it out somehow. Josh Jackson shot 104 from deep. Jerami Grant, 105. Again, we'll talk about Jerami Grant later on. Isaiah Stewart, we're going to talk about him today as well. He only played 18 minutes tonight. He only got 1 3 up and shot 0 of 1 from those ones. Saddiq Bey shot 4 of 9 from deep. Killian was 1 of 4. Kelly Olynyk, 1 of 3. Joseph, 0 of 2. Frank Jackson started to come to life a little bit in this game, cooled down in the second half, but he did shoot 2 of 5 from deep. And Luka Garza, if you take Luka Garza away, we're talking about this percentage looking even worse because he shot 2 of 3 in his 4 minutes of action in the first half. And he had a little battle going on there with Joel Embiid, which is pretty funny to watch. But yeah, the fourth quarter surge was fun to see. Now we're going to continue to talk about it, and we're going to hit on specific players and Jerami Grant, Isaiah Stewart a little later in the podcast. But yeah, again, Saddiq Bey and Killian Hayes really played really well in the fourth quarter. And a quick point on Killian Hayes before we go to the ad break. I tweeted this out as well. And this is the point that you got, and this is the thing you guys wanted to see. You guys, fans, should be happy to see. Killian's first 2 games, awful. His next 2 games, these last 2 games, are better than his first 2 games. Now you hope that his next 2 games are better than these 2 games. Then you hope that the following 2 games are better than those last 2 games, and so on and so forth. You're seeing improvements each game as Killian plays. He's looking better and better and better and better. That's what you want to see, which is why it's a long season. And stay tuned because he's getting better each game, which is what you want to see. This is good. But when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about what happened throughout the game and then end up talking about Jerami Grant, who struggled again tonight. Is there reason to be worried about Jerami Grant at all? We'll talk about that when we come back from the ad break. But first, let me tell you about some of our sponsors. First up, McDonald's. This episode is brought to you by McDonald's, proudly serving community since 1965. McDonald's has always been more than just a place to get tasty, affordable food. It's a place where friends and family can come to reconnect. A place where classmates can meet up for a study group, knowing they'll have dependable Wi-Fi and endless supplies of French fries and McFlurries. McFlurries, I absolutely love them. The Reese's Pieces McFlurries, my favorite. Win or lose, it's a place where teammates, competitors, the home team, or the away team can come to recharge. It's a place you always look forward to stopping at on a long road trip to rest your legs and refuel. I've told you guys many times. A few weeks ago, me and my fiance Megan, we went and took a trip to Chicago. But before we had to get out on that trip to Chicago, we had to stop and get breakfast. And you know where we stopped at. We stopped at McDonald's. I got myself that sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffin. It's my favorite thing at McDonald's. And you know that thing had me ready for that trip. I hate long trips, even just a 4-hour trip to Chicago. But that sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffin had me ready to go and have fun in Chicago. So definitely make sure you guys go check out the breakfast there. I'm telling you, I know it ends at 10:30, but you got to wake up before 10:30 to go get that breakfast. It's worth it, I promise. So go ahead to your local McDonald's and to refuel and to reconnect. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it. But let's go ahead and get right back into some of the things about this game against the 76ers. Again, let me just tell you guys that I thank you guys so much for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We love it. Go support us over on YouTube. Subscribe if you haven't already. And like I told you guys earlier in the podcast, if you guys aren't following me already on Twitter, I have a reason for you guys to follow me even more now. I have awful takes. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I still have a check mark now, a blue check mark. You get it? So you have to go follow me now. I have bad takes. I don't know what I'm talking about with basketball. I sound stupid about 90% of the time, but now I have a check mark. So that wipes all that away. I believe that's how it goes, right? But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about this game still against the 76ers. So again, the Pistons really struggled to really get anything going on offense throughout the majority of this game. It was a serious struggle. They just continued to be stagnant in the half court. When they get on transition, they look a little bit better, but they continue to be stagnant. And you have to wonder if that has something to do with the bad shooting. A lot of their shots were still wide open tonight. Like a lot of these shots were open and they were just missing. But you have to wonder, is this like, would they shoot better if they had a little bit more ball movement going on? And in the fourth quarter, in a lot of those threes that Saddiq Bey hit and some of the shots that Killian hit and some of the shots the team that's hit in general the last like 6 minutes of the game came off extremely good ball movement, driving kicks, extra pass, swinging. When you get ball movement going, I feel like I don't know. Tell me if you guys agree, but I feel like once you get ball movement going, the shots start to drop a little bit more. Just standing around and then waiting for a kick out or an isolation and taking a wide open shot that way, I don't know. I feel like that kind of hurts a shooter's balance. I feel like if you get like some ball movement going on and everyone touching the ball, you start to see shots fall in more. And that started to happen in the fourth quarter. But eventually, like I said, they need to just start hitting shots at some point. It's really hurting them badly to really compete in games. It's a shocker that they only lost this one by 8. That fourth quarter really saved them. But let's go ahead and talk about Jerami Grant a little bit. So Jerami shot 4 of 14 from the field tonight. That's 28%. He shot 1 of 5 from beyond the arc. He was 5 of 5 from the free throw line until those final 2 free throws late in the fourth quarter to cut the lead down and really help the Pistons keep surging in that game. That whole sequence came off of Killian Hayes making a great rotation. They had just hit two straight shots on offense to cut this lead down within 10. I believe this was just coming off of Saddiq Bey corner 3. So Tobias Harris had what looked to be a wide open layup. Killian Hayes makes a great rotation, strips him. They get it up to Jerami Grant. He gets fouled. Momentum is completely on the Pistons side. They're cutting this lead down. They have a chance to get it down even further and really put pressure on the 76ers, who were forced to bring Joel Embiid back into the game after Andre Drummond, former Piston, fouled out the game. But Jerami had a chance to really give the Pistons a lot more momentum, and he missed both the free throws. Now, missing one free throw, okay. Missing both down the stretch, that was extremely hurtful for the Pistons to come back hopes. And it gave a little bit more juice to the narrative that Jerami's not a good closer. Now, if you guys have been following me, you guys know that I wrote an article last year talking about how Jerami Grant has been proving the haters wrong, how he's incredibly improved. He looks a lot better in his role, et cetera, et cetera. I've been a fan of Jerami and how he's played in Detroit. But so far to start the season, he's really struggling to shoot well from the field. He's right now for the season. He obviously missed the game with one of his elbow injury. But right now he's shooting 34% from the field, which is that's awful. That's worse. Killian Hayes shot 37% from the field tonight, so that gives you an idea. He also shooting 30% from beyond the arc. He's shooting 78% from the free throw line, which is down 6 points from last year. Jerami's not having a good start to the season. Now, it's only been 3 games. It's not too much to panic over. But Jerami did give, like I said, juice to the he can't close narrative. And, at this point, he wasn't doing a very good job of it last year. I have to be honest. I'm not going to lie because I'm a fan of his game. I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't see what you guys were seeing last year. He definitely did struggle at times last year closing games out. And he also struggled again tonight. And he even struggled with it earlier in the season against the Chicago Bulls in the first game. You could argue if the Pistons had a better closer and they had better performances down late in that game, the first game against the Bulls, they maybe win that game. If they have Cade Cunningham, they probably win that game. That's how close they played the Bulls that game. But it simply came down to basically a 1v1 between Zach LaVine and Jerami Grant, and Jerami Grant just simply got outplayed and really struggled at times. So then you fast forward to tonight or last night, he misses those free throws down the stretch, and really Saddiq Bey was really the person who was carrying the Pistons offensively. Him and Killian Hayes were really carrying the load offensively down the stretch, which I think that's even with Saddiq's improved ball handling and his improved feel inside the arc. I don't think people really saw that coming before the season. I definitely don't think people saw anything like Killian doing what he did tonight in the fourth quarter. So I think that it came from 2 guys that you don't really expect it from. Maybe more so, obviously, Saddiq moving forward now because he showed us that he's improved. But still, I think the idea before the season, and Dwayne Casey told us multiple times, in the offseason. They told us multiple times in training camp and media sessions that Jerami Grant was going to be their guy down the stretch. And so far this season and so far last season, he just hasn't been there. He's made mistakes. He's taken bad shots. He's missed easy shots. He's missed free throws. He's struggling right now from beyond the, or not beyond the arc, but he is struggling from beyond the arc on the season. But he's struggling in closing moments, and the Pistons need a guy who can do that. Like I said, Saddiq did a good job of that last night. But I think once again, that's the main area that they're really needing Cade Cunningham to return and help them in, because they desperately need someone who's going to help them play a little bit better down the stretch, help make some shots down the stretch. And I think that will do wonders for the Pistons in helping them get their first win of the season. And by the way, the Oklahoma City Thunder got a win before the Pistons. It's sad right now in Detroit. It's sad. And Cade's not playing. We're stuck having to watch the Cade Cunningham, what is it, the auto insurance commercial every damn commercial break. We're seeing that Cade Cunningham insurance commercial. And it's like, dude, you're not even playing. Please, Bally Sports, get this off our screen. We just want to see the dude play. Stop teasing us with this commercial. And by the way, on that commercial, they don't even have the real beat writers in there. And one of the funniest things to me about that commercial, real quick, I know I'm sidetracking a little bit, but if you watch at the very beginning of the commercial, Cade points with his right hand over to the back right of the media room to answer a question. And I've been in there. I was in there, obviously, for the 2019-2020 season. The person that ends up asking the question that he points to is nowhere near that right side. They're all the way on the left side of some girl over on the left side of the room. So they didn't even match that up right. The commercial's not that good. It's bad. It's just it's not a good commercial. It was funny at first, like, oh, yeah, Cade got himself a commercial. But then, now it's completely played itself out now that he's not playing, and you start to see that this wasn't really that good of a commercial. But anyways, I got sidetracked a little bit. I'm sorry. Either way, they desperately need Cade Cunningham, who Dwayne Casey said they don't have a specific plan yet for him to return on Saturday. He did say he's going to practice with them today when you guys listen to this on Friday. And if you guys remember a few weeks ago, Dwayne Casey did go on to say that he wanted to get Cade Cunningham multiple practices before he returned from his injury. He's been practicing this whole week with the G League team for the Pistons, the Motor City Cruise. And they actually tweeted out something that said, getting ready for the weekend. And it's a picture of Cade Cunningham. So they're even teasing about it. So the fact that he's been able to practice all week, and he's also going to get a practice in tomorrow, plus it being a home game, it could possibly be his debut in the Pistons. His first game of his NBA career being at home. I think I told you guys this a few weeks ago. I thought that had something to do with it, them wanting him to have his first game in Detroit. I really do feel like that had a little bit to do with it. So I really do think he might play Saturday. He is going to play Saturday. So we'll see what happens. But Dwayne Casey did say that he doesn't have a specific plan right now for him to play Saturday. But yeah, they desperately need him to come back and help them close games on the fourth quarter, because they may have 2 wins tonight. Definitely, I feel like they definitely would have won Chicago game. But even tonight, I feel like they could have possibly won with Cade. But yeah, Jerami has to play better. Jerami has to play better. He has to do a better job closing games out and just making the simple play. The Pistons were at their best, honestly, tonight when they took the ball out of Jerami's hands down the stretch and just let Killian Hayes work in the pick and roll, let Saddiq Bey look in the pick and roll, and they moved the ball. Both of those guys were doing good jobs of making great decisions with the ball in their hands. And again, before we go to the ad break, I just have to say this about Saddiq Bey, because I know that I was hard on him throughout the entire offseason. I will continue each episode to say that I was wrong, and I am incredibly happy to see what I saw from Saddiq Bey. He's making better and better decisions with the ball in his hands. He's looking better and better within the arc. It's a great sight to see. I was wrong. You'd like to see him start shooting a little bit better from beyond the arc. I'm a little bit worried that this may be hurting his outside shot. I want to see his outside shot come with it, because I really think that he would be at an elevated level if he's able to get both those things going at once. But either way, great game, great fourth quarter basically tonight from Saddiq Bey, Killian Hayes. They need their veteran and Jerami Grant to play better, and they desperately need Cade Cunningham to return. When we come back, we're going to talk about Isaiah Stewart just a tad, because I feel like we've now hit a point with a certain part of his game that it's fair to raise concerns about it right now, because I'm going to bring up, basically that's the reason why. But when we come back, we'll talk about that. But first, let me tell you about one of our sponsors, BetOnline AG. We're back and better than ever. A new web interface for the start of the basketball season, and more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the basketball and football action this season. Head to our new updated desktop and mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, baseball's postseason, the World Series that's going on right now, NHL, boxing, and even UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Then let me tell you about another one of our sponsors, your favorite sponsor of this entire podcast that I ever read, Built Bar. The best tasting protein bar on the planet Earth comes in a variety of flavors, including 6 new flavors: and caramel brownie, cookies and cream, cherry barcia, lemon almond, carrot cake, and apple almond crisp. They also have a ton of other flavors like coconut, raspberry, mint brownie, double chocolate, salted caramel, strawberry, orange, cookies and cream, and German chocolate. All flavors are covered in incredible tasting chocolate and are soft and easy on the teeth to chew. These bars are low in calorie and sugar, but high in protein and fiber. The flavor I suggest is the peanut butter flavor, packed with 19 grams of protein, 180 calories, only 5 grams of sugar, and 5 grams net carbs. So go try a Built Bar. Go to BuiltBar.com and use promo code LOCK15 and you'll get 15% off your next order. Again, use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at BuiltBar.com. Built Bar, the best tasting protein bar ever. Let's go ahead and get right back into it. So I want to talk a little bit about Isaiah Stewart, but first, let me thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys so much. Make sure you guys go check out our YouTube, Locked On Pistons, obviously over on YouTube. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. We're sitting around, I believe, 290 subscribers, which is doing great. That's incredible within the first week and a half of being over there. That's incredible support. I appreciate it. But we're trying to get to 1,000 by the end of this year. Go over there if you haven't already. You don't even have to watch the videos on YouTube if you like it in podcast version. Well, trust me, I prefer podcast version a little bit. But YouTube is also a hell of a lot of fun. And simply go support the podcast and subscribe over there. You don't even have to watch them over there. You can stay over here on the podcast version. Just go support us over on YouTube. But let's go ahead and talk about Isaiah Stewart a little bit. So Isaiah Stewart only ended up playing 18 minutes tonight. He played exactly, I know I said 17 minutes earlier. His exact minute total was 17 minutes and 59 seconds. So I should have rounded up earlier in the podcast and said 18. Isaiah Stewart, he's been, I would say through the first 2 games, like I told you guys, he's been steady. He's been he hasn't been doing much wrong. He also hasn't been doing much great. He's just been steady. He's just really been there. He's not really popping off the screen. He's just, yeah, he's there, that kind of thing. So you can't, I don't know if you can really criticize that through the first 3 games. However, I brought this up to you guys on the last podcast we had with Bryce, which, by the way, make sure you guys go check out that podcast and that episode. That episode was great, and we ended up backing up a lot of those stats, a lot of those open 3 stats, seeing if they were good quality shots for good shooters, etc. over on Twitter. Make sure you go follow me and Bryce over on Twitter, at Motor City Hoops for him, at Kooky Hill for me over there. We did a great job breaking that down over there because you know it's easier to do that after episode. I can't make 2-minute episodes every single day to continue breaking down. But yeah, definitely if you guys want some added content, go follow us over there. You guys will love it. But basically what I'm getting to, Isaiah Stewart, he needs to start shooting more threes. And it got to a point tonight, and I brought this up last episode, that he wasn't even popping in the last 2 games. Well, last night against the 76ers, he passed up about 5 open threes. And it was a few of them maybe would have been contested. Late contest. If you play 2K, you know what late contests are. They don't really matter. But he should have got those threes up. The Pistons need him to be respected at that point at the 3-point arc, or centers like Joel Embiid and whoever's guarding him are going to do exactly what Embiid did tonight. And that was sag in the paint, not respect him. He's not going to come up on any picks off the screen. He's just going to drop, and he's going to give Isaiah Stewart the 3 when he does pop. And if Isaiah Stewart's not going to make him pay for that, he's almost a liability in offense if he's going to play that way. Now, if he's going to shoot it and he misses it, then fine. If you're going to roll, actually, even if you want to just roll instead, okay, I want him to pop more. They still need him to pop a little bit more. But okay, if you're going to roll. But tonight, that was even worse than the last 2 nights. Him not even popping, that's a concern of mine. But then when you're popping and you're passing up wide open threes, that's hurting. It's not just hurting Isaiah Stewart's development from beyond the arc. It's also hurting the players who are out there in the team's offense. For example, there was multiple times where Killian Hayes came off the screen, attacked Joel Embiid, was able to get Joel Embiid to attach to him. He kicked it back out to Isaiah Stewart, and Isaiah Stewart had a ton of space, and instead of shooting the 3, he hesitated. He hesitated to take it, and then at times it looked like he didn't know if he wanted to take it, and then once he decided that he wanted to take it, then it was too late. The late contest was coming, and then he tried taking dudes off the dribble, which all those times ended badly for the Pistons. I know he showed a little bit of that towards the end of last year, but it hasn't showed up at all to start this season. And you definitely would rather, again, just have him shoot the 3. You should be using putting it on the ball on the ground when guys close out you and respect your jumper. if you're not going to take those jumpers at all, no one's going to respect your jumper. It's not going to happen. So it's definitely a concern with Isaiah Stewart, I feel like, right now. He needs to, once again, he needs to pop, and he needs to shoot these open jumpers. It hurts the team, and it hurts himself, and it hurts his development. I think that has to be a big reason why he only played 18 minutes tonight. We got 25 minutes out of Kelly Olynyk. Even when in the second quarter, Luka Garza was brought in instead. So it's like Isaiah Stewart, he has to show himself as a threat offensively more. I know he likes to bang around the rim. We all know that he's a real physical guy. Obviously, defensively, I still feel like he's doing fine. He's not impacting it as much as he did at times last year. He has his moments. He's being steady on that end. But offensively, he has to be better. He has to, again, like I said, he can shoot the threes and miss, but he has to at least appear to be a threat from be out there if he's going to pop. Because if he's not going to do that, no one's ever going to respect him, and the big man's just going to sit in the paint and not even treat him on defense. It's not even going to happen, and it's going to be hard for anyone to get to the rim or really create anything on offense with a guy who's basically playing free safety on defense. It's not football. It's going to be tough for the team. So I think two big takeaways tonight that are negatives, obviously. The positives we talked about earlier in the podcast, I think it has to be podcast. I say podcast. Podcast is Killian Hayes and Saddiq Bey's play in the fourth quarter. And then also the two negatives have to be Jerami Grant not being able to close the game out down the stretch, missing free throws. Not even asking him to do out there and do heroics, but just simply do your job and make free throws. And he failed to do that at a critical time when the Pistons really needed him. And then also Isaiah Stewart. I don't think Isaiah played in that fourth quarter. I think they rocked the entire fourth quarter with Kelly Olynyk, which Kelly Olynyk was playing fine tonight. He was 3 of 8 from the field, 7 of 8 from the free throw line. He ended up with 14 points, 3 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, a block. He was pretty good tonight. So I don't blame that decision. They're probably going to do that a lot this season. But either way, Isaiah Stewart just didn't play that well tonight, and it started from him being hesitant and not playing aggressive and playing freely, which is something we usually criticize Killian Hayes for, and that we usually don't really criticize Isaiah Stewart for that. So I don't really get why that's something that's popping up for him right now, but he has to get out of that. He has to start shooting his threes, whether he's missing or not. He has to get more threes up. We played 4 games. He's only attempted 2 threes throughout those games, and he passed up about 3 or 4 of them tonight. So that's my takeaways from tonight's game. I think it was a fun game. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys thought about tonight's game or last night's game against the 76ers. I thought it was a fun fourth quarter. Throughout the first 3 quarters, it was a bad watch. I'm not going to sit here and cap to you guys, okay? By the way, I had a few of you guys asking where I got this Pistons teal horse hat. It's my favorite hat, obviously, but I got it from Snipes. I don't know if Snipes is only in the Metro Detroit area where I live, but if there's a local Snipes by you guys or somewhere, go check out Snipes. This is where I got the hat from. It's definitely my favorite hat. It's a dope hat. But either way, my point is not capping you guys. It was a bad watch for the first 3 quarters. But that fourth quarter definitely made it a lot of fun. And that BS foul call on Kelly Olynyk really ruined the fourth quarter. Not the result. Not saying the Pistons were going to win and ruin the Pistons' chances of winning. We were going to have a really good finish that fourth quarter. It was going to be a fun finish. And instead, now we're saying after the game, talking about, man, that fourth quarter really screwed over the Pistons, and they really sank their chances of winning or even forcing overtime, anything like that. So it was a fun game, and I hate they had to end like that. But next Pistons game on Saturday against the Orlando Magic. Will K. Cunningham play? We'll wait for then. We'll see then. Thank you guys again for listening to today's podcast. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. And like I tell you guys at the end of every episode, make sure you guys go check out Locked On Fantasy Basketball with host Josh Floyd, who's doing a great job of giving you all the tips for fantasy basketball this season. Make sure you guys go follow me on Twitter at Kook Hill. Your boy is check mark. You get it. Make sure you also go check me out over on YouTube if you haven't already at Locked On Pistons. Subscribe. Make sure you leave a 5-star review down below if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts. And I will see you guys next week on Monday. Hopefully, I have good news to tell you guys about K. Cunningham playing on Saturday. And if he doesn't play, Bally Sports, please get rid of the commercials for that game. I'll see you guys on Monday. Peace out, everybody.